I am getting nice and cozy, grounded. I am sitting here in my really cute little bungalow in nature. I am in Pi, and I feel so incredibly fortunate and grateful to be here in this oasis of nature and community and love and just this bubble of warmth and cuddles and hugs. I am living a reality currently that I have dreamed of living for many, many years. And that's what this video is about. I felt a call this morning on the winter solstice. Today is the winter solstice of 2024, and I felt a really big call to express and voice my story, a bit of my story, and how I am feeling that and how it's moving through me right now and how it wants to be expressed at this time of my life, this phase. And I'm already feeling emotional as I begin to express this. And I want to share about this year and what this year has brought to me and offered me, and how 2024 has just been this container for me. Like, how I feel 2024 to be is like these warm, loving hands here to catch me when I finally took the leap that my soul has been begging for me to take, as I said, for many, many years. I'm going to pause and take some deep breaths throughout explaining and feeling into my story and really what wants to be created and expressed and moved through me right now. Expression in and of itself feels really difficult for me a lot of the time, and at the same time it feels like one of my soul's greatest gifts, and it feels like it is the path I need to be walking down in this life, is exploring expression in all different ways. And I believe all of us have some form of that in our dharma, in our path, and for me it's definitely vocalizing and being seen, so looking straight into the camera and sharing from my heart. It is difficult for me to do this, and I am treating this kind of like a verbal diary, a verbal journal of this last year. I just pulled these oracle cards. I travel with these oracle cards. The Starseed deck Rebecca Campbell Starseed deck. I am just obsessed. And many people now, I have pulled cards for many people now on my travels and at home with this deck, and I just pulled 3 cards before sharing this video, or this coming onto this video and expressing my story. The first card I pulled, fall into my arms, surrender, holding the opposites, extremes of life. And it's this beautiful photo. And that's exactly how I feel 2024 to be for me. These hands holding me. And this is God coming through. Spirit is saying, fall into my arms, and I feel that. The next one is I remember. Soul plan, the fated life versus the destiny life, which is literally what this year was for me. And it's this beautiful photo of a woman gazing into the waters of the ethers and the cosmos. Highly recommend this deck. And the last one is the 7 Star Sisters, birthing creations, tapestry of life, expression. And this card is just a definition of last year and this year for me. So I'm feeling very held by these cards and held in this moment. And I am trusting that I am meant to share this. I have actually wanted to share more of my personal story for a long time now, and I haven't known how or what exactly I wanted to share, and I still don't really know what, but I am going to trust that my heart knows. It can be difficult sharing a story with others, even just voicing out loud things that we are feeling and different experiences, knowing when to stop and when it is too much of sharing and what I want to keep for myself. So I am trusting in my soul for knowing those lines today. I would like to start in order of how everything sort of came about to be and how things have unfolded this year for me. It started actually many years ago. A seed was planted in me, in my soul when I was born. I don't know. That I have always wanted to travel and teach yoga, just explore the world full time. And it really just has always been my dream to be a nomad, to live the nomadic lifestyle, explore different cultures, be with other humans, connect to like-minded community, and just be the adventurous spirit and soul that I felt I have always been and have never really felt the space to be able to fully expand into the version of me that I've wanted to expand into for a very long time. So this seed was planted inside of me, and a large part of this story also begins about 5 years ago. In 2019, I traveled to Bali and I experienced sexual trauma when I was in Bali. And this is a major part of my story and what really has brought me here today. And this experience of sexual trauma and feeling a lot of fear and disempowerment, and really feeling my throat chakra close, my heart chakra close, and sacral chakra. Everything in me kind of just like went like this, and within that, it also was the start of my healing journey and the start of my awakening. And yeah, that experience is really what brought me to start therapy, start EMDR, and I view it as the beginning of me finally coming home to my body. And so from then, it was sort of a snowball effect of, I have a friend, a snowball effect of, healing and exploring different tools and all different community therapy, somatic work, all these different things to ultimately bring me back to me, to my body. And we're on this ever-evolving journey. It is never ending. And yes, so this experience in 2019 is really what started everything for me. Fast forward about 5 years. So the beginning of this year, I felt called to go to a plant medicine retreat. And I have done many plant medicine retreats before. I have been guided in beautiful ceremonies, and this was not new for me. There was something inside of me that really was like, okay, I am ready to break down a wall. There's a wall here that I feel is blocking me from going for what I want to go for, which is travel, which is trusting in myself and my abilities to finally teach yoga outside of the United States. And so I went to this plant medicine journey, and my intention was to feel my power and reclaim my power, which has been my intention really for the last 5 years. In this feeling of not being in my power and not trusting myself and feeling like I don't belong and I'm not worthy and capable in some way has been my entire life. This feeling has always lived inside of me. It's just my healing journey for the last 5 years has really brought it to the surface, and I've been feeling into that for a while now. So this was my intention going into this plant medicine journey, was to feel myself reclaim my power. So I had a beautiful plant medicine journey. About half of it was really incredible and amazing and healing. And then the second half of it, I went a little bit too far and my brain sort of went like this. And I felt the most fear I have ever felt in my entire life. I was experiencing derealization, depersonalization. I felt like I was never going to come back to this reality. I thought I was stuck there in this void, in this place forever. And I went to the place of complete darkness and no love. And I was there for quite a while. This was a reset. My mind, looking back now, my mind needed this reset. It needed to feel complete fear and darkness in order to show myself, if I can go there, if I can go into this abyss of nothingness, then what can't I do? There's nothing more scary than that. That is the scariest thing I have ever experienced in my life. So why am I not going for my dreams? Why am I sitting around and waiting for something to change instead of making the change happen? And I do this because it was coming from this space, my solar plexus, my sacral chakra, my root chakra. It's all from here. And even though this experience was extremely scary for me and isolating, and for about a month after that experience, I was really anxious and dealing with panic attacks and rashes all over my body from anxiety, and still feeling like I wasn't in this world, feeling like I was not in this reality. I was still somewhere else, living almost a parallel reality. Even though this was the most terrifying thing of my life, it is what propelled me to take a leap. And I know many other people that have experienced something of this sort, and I just want to acknowledge how isolating and lonely this feeling is. Feeling like you're crazy, and feeling like I felt like I needed to go to a mental hospital. I felt like no one would understand me, and I was never going to be normal again, never going to be the same Christian. Just want to acknowledge that. And if somebody is listening to this and you're like, wow, I've gone to that place, and yeah, it's really scary. Like, we're not alone, and you're not alone. And that's just another reality. This is one reality. That's another one. We're all living our own realities. And to this day, that door in my mind does open sometimes, and I really need to ground myself and pull me back into earth. So just touching on that for mental health purposes, is like, this is something I've been dealing with all year, and I know with time it does get better. We get a little further from feeling like we can't handle that turbulence of the uncertainty of, am I going to be pulled back into that space, or can I stay here and be in my body? So this is something very real for me and still prevalent for me to this day. And this is not something I've ever shared online. And I don't want to say that it's psychosis. I don't think that it was. I feel, if there has to be a label, it feels more like sometimes I am in a movie, and everything around me, every person I'm meeting is a character in that movie, and they are still a part of that journey, and I've never left that plant medicine journey. I'm like still in it. And so this feeling comes and goes. And and that's okay for that to be present. So this plant medicine journey that happened in January, I began to come back to my body and come back to the moment and this world and this beautiful reality that we live in. And as I grounded back down into my ego, into Christian, and my life as I knew it to be in California, it didn't feel aligned. Nothing felt aligned anymore. And my soul was begging to fly. My soul was begging to leave. And at this point, I had no other choice. I was like, okay, I can feel the fear that I'm feeling, which was a lot of fear because I was still very much tending to a tender, sensitive mind and heart, and at the same time tending to my 19-year-old self who experienced sexual trauma while traveling. That was contributing to a lot of fear of traveling alone and trusting in other people, in myself, to not have an experience like that happen again. And these feelings of fear were very present for me, and the call of my soul and my heart was so much stronger than that fear. So I let the fear sit with me, and I took my 23-year-old self's hand. I held my 19-year-old self's hand and my 23-year-old self's hand. And I said, okay, we can coexist. We can do this together. And we're going to bring into fruition everything that feels aligned right here, right now. So I searched online. I finished massage school in March. Shout out Healing Hands. And I searched for so many jobs online. I was actually thinking I was going to be going to South America, Central America, South America. And then, wow, I just typed on Google all these different places, and I emailed everybody. I sent them in videos of me teaching, my resume, all these things. And I got a response back from a retreat center in Sri Lanka, and they said, okay, can you be here in two weeks? And I said yes. Like, there was no doubt in my mind, in my body. It was a full body fuck yes. So I made it happen. I said lots of hard goodbyes, felt extreme amounts of fear and dissociation and packing last minute, getting rid of things. Like, it was pure chaos for 2 weeks as I'm processing, like, oh my God, is this actually happening right now? Am I prepared for this? I don't know how this is gonna work. I don't know the steps of all these things. I am just gonna go and see what happens. So that's exactly what I did. I packed like the most random stuff because I look at my clothes now and I'm like, what was I thinking? Like, why did I bring this? Why did I not bring all these other things that I could have brought? But I really wasn't thinking. I was kind of in chaos mode. So yeah, but at the end of the day, that stuff does not matter. I just knew I had to get out. This was my time. This was my call. I was going. I packed everything, went to Sri Lanka, had a very soft landing in Sri Lanka at a retreat center. It actually didn't feel that soft. I started teaching. The environment was soft. I was held. I wasn't alone. I went straight into this center to be able to teach yoga and do something familiar and be with people that were familiar and sort of on the same path as me. So that part felt good, but there was a lot of culture shock for the first month or so, landing in a completely different culture and environment and weather and lifestyle. I was landing into the next version of myself. And this felt extremely scary, overwhelming. I remember sleeping a lot, like multiple hours a day. I was teaching a lot as well, and that was difficult for me to hold space for other people when I needed to be held. I needed holding, and I needed to cry. I needed to sleep. I was in the midst of huge transition. My soul knew I was going to be gone out of the United States for a very long time. Didn't know how long, still don't know how long. But I just knew it was going to be a while, and I knew it was going to be a freaking journey and a half. And yeah, Sri Lanka was beautiful. It was also challenging, and I didn't find that much community in Sri Lanka. I felt like I was still unfolding and deconditioning, peeling back layers from the US. So I wasn't really ready to dive into extreme community like I am now so much. At that point, I was still kind of like treading slowly, taking a lot of alone time, and going through my own process of transformation. I wasn't ready to allow in other people to see me in that. I'm not going to go through every country that I've been to now. I don't feel like that is necessary. I have been to Japan, which was challenging for me, and also such a beautiful country. Highly recommend Japan. Go to Japan. But yeah, it was challenging to go solo. I will touch on Vipassana. So I went to Vipassana in Sri Lanka right before I left for Japan. And Vipassana, for me, for somebody that has not meditated ever in their life, I didn't trust myself to meditate. I didn't think I was capable of meditating. I have been diagnosed ADHD for my whole life, and so anytime I sat down to try to meditate, I blamed it on ADHD. I would say, oh, I'm too ADHD for this. I just get distracted. It's just how I am. I'm not a meditator. All of these excuses, all of these stories in my mind. And Vipassana kept coming to me. I kept meeting people that had done Vipassana, and there was something in me that was like, do it, just do it. So I decided the day before it was happening, and I said, okay, I'm doing a 10-day Vipassana. So I went and I did it, and it was a life-changing experience. It was also extremely challenging, and being so isolated and so in my mind, and uncovering these layers of my mind and diving deeper and deeper and deeper in, it did bring up those same feelings from my plant medicine journey in January. I felt like I was completely in a different plane of existence at this point, and not really in the fun way, in a fearful way. And it was me confronting this darkness once again, and this fear and this anxiety that lives inside of me, this energy of really fear of the unknown, and fear of what is inside of me and what needs to be brought out. This really drove a lot of my Vipassana experience from like day 6 onwards, and I couldn't sleep anymore. I was really just living in total fear, and I am very grateful for that experience again, because it it needs to be brought out. It is something that lives inside of me, and we all have this beautiful duality, and we can't just live in the light. We can't. That's not how our human experience works. That's not how our bodies work. That's not our soul. We are beings of duality, and my biggest takeaway of this year is you don't need to push away the darkness, and you don't need to be afraid of the darkness. We need to hold its hand. And it's a lesson that I am still learning every single day, every single moment, not pushing away the hard feelings and emotions and insecurities and doubts, but really letting it live inside of me. So Vipassana brought this out really head on, and I left Vipassana feeling like a changed woman. The first song I listened to was Bittersweet Symphony by The Verve, and I burst into tears. It was the most beautiful moment of my life, and that song is sort of my theme song. I've always loved it. I've always felt very connected to it, and it sort of represents death for me. It represents a death, and this, like, how do I say, extremities, the extremes, not extremities, not these, extremes of life, death and rebirth. And in that moment, I felt like I was in a complete rebirth. I actually left Vipassana saying, I'm never meditating again. That was awful. That was traumatizing. I felt trapped. I felt like I was in prison, which is so silly because looking back now, I'm like, it was 10 days and it was actually luxury. You had nothing to do except for meditate and go into these places of your mind and your spirit. Like, what a luxury and a privilege that you get to do this for 10 days. So yeah, I left saying I'm never meditating again. I had an aversion to meditation. And then literally I got on the plane that night that I left to go to Japan, straight to Tokyo. I planned this Japan trip before Vipassana, so I had to go. Doing it all over again, would I do that again? No. I would have gone to the beach and been in nature after Vipassana, but it's okay. I don't regret my experience. It was beautiful. But yeah, on the airplane, I found myself, I didn't even listen to music. I had no anxiety about flying, which normally I do. And I sat there and I meditated the entire flight. And wow, it was beautiful. So, long story short, Vipassana, I hold it near and dear to my heart. I would love to do another one. My time has not come yet. Yes. Japan, challenging, fun, beautiful. After Japan, I flew to Thailand. And I knew Thailand was going to be just this wild, snaky, dragon-filled ride for me. I actually got this tattoo in Japan, one of my last days of Japan in Ishigaki, Okinawa, from a really amazing tattoo artist. I just loved him. He gave me rape, and yeah, he's a beautiful soul. And this tattoo, going in circles, but that's okay. This tattoo, her name is Shakti, and I was born in the year of the dragon in 2000, and this year is year of the dragon, and this year has been, this is why I'm doing this story, this year has been the most challenging year of my life, and simultaneously the most amazing, beautiful, ecstatic, exciting, dreamy, blissful, trialing, crumbling, energizing. And growth-filled years of my life. So I had to get this tattoo of the dragon. And landing in Thailand, I knew this was going to be the country that feels the most like home, which is true. I am still here. And it is also the country that has been the container for me to connect to my heart. It feels like for the first time my entire life without plant medicine, completely sober. I have been on a sober journey as well this year. Very minimal alcohol, and now no alcohol, no plant medicine after my experience in January. And this sober journey has actually been the most psychedelic of all my psychedelic experiences. Yeah. Thailand, connecting back to my heart chakra. I have experienced free diving now, which felt like extreme vipassana and meditation, but in the ocean. I have had fear of water for basically my whole life as well. And not necessarily fear, like I'll swim, I go in the ocean, things like this. Scuba diving, I've done scuba diving many times. I just have never felt really comfortable in the water and connected to the element of water. And free diving allowed me to feel connected to water for the first time in my life and feel this really intense and at the same time soft relationship and connection to water, and feeling like water is my friend and my lover and me. I felt this oneness for the first time. And even though I had many moments of fear come up with freediving, of feeling like I'm running out of air and this is it. I didn't really have a feeling of like, this is it, but like, running out of air, that's a scary feeling. Feeling like, okay, my life is being threatened right now. And there's nothing I can do about it. I just have to make my way up to the surface. This feeling, again, this theme of, okay, when this fear comes up and this darkness comes up, how do you respond? Are you going to react and freak out more and let the anxiety take you? Or are you going to let it move through, hold its hand, allow it to be here, and know, okay, it's just a feeling, just like anything else. It is just a sensation that is coming up. Can you allow it to live and exist, and at the same time remain centered and calm and grounded in that space inside that is trusting of the universe, trusting of myself, and freediving was this beautiful mirror for me to really dive into that more. I experienced Tantra for the first time. Wow, saying that, I have this like feeling in my belly of connecting to myself and my heart, and going to these beautiful workshops in the south of Thailand. Mainly connecting to self, in different energy centers and breath and movement, as well as a little bit of connection with others. I didn't feel ready to really dive into the world of Tantra yet. I know that that is actually coming for me, so I feel excited and I feel a lot of energy around that space. I have had the privilege to teach at another retreat center up here in northern Thailand. Such a beautiful experience, and now getting to be here in Pai in this nature-filled bubble, as I was saying. So that lands me here and now in this space. One more thing I want to touch on in this year for me of expansion and growth and confrontation and holding myself like never before is also my sexuality. I have had a year of celibacy and really just being in my own energy and going for my dream life, going for this dream feeling of being home and safe in my body and not needing to rely on anyone else, not needing to be codependent on anyone else, which is a tendency of mine in relationships, in family relationships, friend relationships, romantic. Always feeling like I need to rely on someone else. Like I can't do it on my own. And this year has been about, no, you can. You can do this on your own. And also it's okay to lean on other people and ask for help when you need it. But within that feeling of coming home, I have been completely celibate for 1 year, and that has been unintentional and at the same time, I think, subconsciously intentional. It became intentional after it had been already several months. It just felt aligned. I didn't want to be dating. I didn't want to be looking around at, okay, you know, who am I attracted to? And it didn't feel open. I felt closed, and my energy needed it. I was really in a cocoon state, and I have been coming out of my cocoon a little bit more in the more recent months, and even then I feel myself kind of stepping out and then coming back in and taking baby steps. Like, okay, I'll open my heart a little bit to somebody else, and then I'll come back in. And that's still where my energy is at, is I'm opening, I'm coming back in. I'm opening, I'm coming back in. And that feels really good. As the holidays are approaching and the New Year is coming, which is insane to me because this year has flown by. Time feels like it does not exist anymore. In my mind, it's still like July. Like it feels like summer. Except for actually today, I felt more wintry. Finally, the winter solstice is pulling me into the season. But as the holidays are approaching and I'm reflecting a lot, I feel really emotional that I have gone through so much change this year, so much transformation. It feels overwhelming to process a lot of times. And I think about my family at home all the time and friends at home all the time. And I think, one of the most painful feelings that any of us can feel is letting go, the process of letting go and shedding layers. It's really uncomfortable, and I am feeling that so deeply. Letting go of traditions, letting go of expectations of what I think I need to be doing, of how life should be looking and living, and letting go of people, friends, family relationships, dynamics that aren't working anymore, and coming into new ones and not knowing how those are going to be working. Yeah, a lot of letting go. And that can leave us to feel really lonely. I have had many moments of feeling extremely lonely and extremely isolated, moments of extreme fear of what the hell am I doing? Why am I here? What is my why? I feel so unclear. Why am I in Thailand with no money when I could be in California working and have things be comfortable and easy and have a bed and back in a familiar routine? But I know my soul doesn't want that and knows that there's another reality calling me in. And it feels like this card, I remember, Soul Plan, the fated life versus the destiny life. It feels like this is where I am at right now. Just sharing more of my story right now. In my current position, I am low on money, and I am hitting a point of, okay, what is holding me back from feeling my abundance and my worthiness of magnetizing and drawing in money, and knowing that I am worth abundance, and I am already abundant in my life. And there have been many moments where I feel like I need to just go home. Like, up until like last night, I need to just go home because I'm out of money, and what am I doing here? And then there's moments that come in that are like, no, like, you are worth money. And it feels very tied to my voice, this feeling of stepping into my power and expressing what I want to express with the world, which is my soul and what is close to my heart. That is the scariest thing to express, because then that is perceived, and we can't control how others will perceive us, and that really terrifies me, and that makes me want to control and contract and be small, which I didn't come here to be small. None of us did. So just touching on that now is, yeah, I'm in this place of, I don't know how I'm going to make money and keep making this work, but what I do know is that I have the desire to make it work, and that is enough. And I know I am held within that. I don't know who needed to hear that, but I feel like someone else needed to hear that. When you have a desire and a call, a soul call, money will always flow in. And you are protected and guided within this journey more than you could ever know. There have been so many countless times where I'm like, oh my God, how am I gonna overcome this? I am so stressed out. This is so chaotic. Why am I traveling? I'm dripping sweat. I am crying on the side of the road. I am literally feeling like I'm not gonna have a roof over my head tonight. I am alone. And then something comes in to say you're not alone, whether it be another human or an experience or something that just comes up in front of me. And I am reminded of this time and time again. And usually when I'm on the brink of like, am I supported right now? Am I guided? Hello? Like I feel alone, and I feel crazy, and I feel silly, and I feel stupid, and I feel shame for choosing this. But no, I don't. My ego or my soul does not feel that way. But it's when I'm on the brink of falling, feeling like I'm going to fall and fail, when something swoops in. Stretch break. So, this is my story. This is bits and pieces of my story. And I really hope if you have watched this, and wow, thank you for being here. If you are here with me, if you are still here, this is a really long video and I've been talking for too long. It's time for me to move. And one last thing I will touch on is movement, embodiment. I have been getting so much into embodiment and feminine embodiment this year. That is like the definition of my year, is when things are ungrounded, which everything is ungrounded for me. I have no home, no physical home. This is my home. Movement, just movement. This is the year I have come into my body, and that feels like the greatest gift I will ever receive. And some days it's really hard. Some days I'm really up here, and that's also okay. But movement is medicine. This is where I will end this video. I love you so much, and I want to say, if you have something inside of you that is begging to be felt and lived and breathed into, and a fire that is waiting to be stoked, and you know what fire that is, you're like, oh, there's this one thing I've always wanted to do, and I know it's my soul's calling, but I am terrified to do it, and I don't know how it's gonna work. I don't have the means. I don't even know the first step. You're not alone. And there is always a way, and it is always worth it. I love you. Let's go for our dreams more and hold fear by its hand and say, you can come along for the ride too. I have fear in speaking about this even, and that's okay. It's just me telling my life's story for this last year, and it feels really good. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being you. I love you. I see you. And keep being you, and happy winter solstice and happy 2025. Mwah.